Allegiance.
Oops, sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. Just have an opening statement and then a few opening comments. Tonight we take a moment to remember and honor Deb Ryle, our beloved cafeteria manager at Goshen Intermediate School, who passed away last evening. Deb was more than just a leader in the cafeteria. She was a bright presence in the school, always greeting others with a smile and ensuring that every student received not just a meal, but also a warm and welcoming experience. She took great pride in making sure the cafeteria ran smoothly, and her commitment to excellence was evident in everything she did. Though she had only been with GIS for a short time, her impact was immediate and lasting. She formed strong relationships with her team, school community, and she was truly excited to be part of the Red Hawk family. Her absence will be deeply felt by all who knew her. We extend our deepest condolences to Deb's family, friends, and colleagues. Deb will be missed, but she will always be part of the Goshen Community Schools. I would ask that we please observe a small moment of silence for Deb. Thank you. Just a few additional comments. This is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There'll be time for public participation for agenda and non-agenda items as listed by item number 3. Our mission. We promise to inspire innovation, empowering potential, enriching our world, and our vision, Goshen Community Schools, Elkhart County School District of Choice. Item 1.4 is approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have any modifications to the agenda? All right, hearing none, the agenda is approved as presented. And item 1.5, review of our minutes from the February 24th, 2025 meeting. Board members, do we have any revisions for those minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as presented. Item 2, student and staff recognition. Ms. Schreiner. Congratulations, as exciting. All right, so that will conclude our student and staff recognition. You are happy to stay for the rest of the meeting, or if you guys would like to exit stage, I guess right or left, I don't know which way is that. Yeah, neither am I, so.
My wife is.
All right. We will now move on to public comment. And Mr. Glenn Knoll.
Glenn Knoll, Goshen. I wasn't here 2 weeks ago. I had personal things I had to take care of. Anyways, I don't know if the electric buses were discussed or not. But I have a problem buying, I don't like the idea of electric buses in general. Don't like the idea of buying them outside of the U.S. We should be buying U.S. only. It's just the way I feel. My tax dollars need to stay here. And now with the attitude of certain Canadian people, they don't need my dollars either. Okay? ADA doors. Any of you guys tried that door today? Going out or in? It ain't working. You might want to make sure that you guys follow the ADA. If that door's unlocked, them buttons better work. I take that very personally. I spent enough time in a wheelchair. Okay, down to the nitty-gritty. I guess you would call that the sugar. So, downstate, still don't know what our lovely representatives are going to do to us, how it's going to turn out. But it comes down to, looks like we're all going to have to pay more, one way or the other. Referendum is not going to be something that you really want to look at. In the past, when that was presented, a couple of superintendents back, 2, it turned out after the election, which was the vote, which the referendum only won by, oh yeah, just a tad bit, just a little bit. It was, some of our numbers might have been off but just a little bit. We might have fudged, them numbers weren't exactly accurate. You know, for the rest of us, we were lied to. Lied to. So some of us actually said, so you lied to us, we don't have to pay that. Oh no, you still have to pay it. The citizens voted it even though it wasn't correct. Referendums are not going to cut it in this town. They tried it in other places, and they failed there too. There's a lot of us that are willing to put it all on the line to toe the line on that. So if we're going to have a big problem with this thing, it's going to need to be done downstate, and they're going to have to take care of it. They can't ease out of it going, well, look, we lowered taxes. No, they lowered the taxes and dumped them on me. That ain't gonna happen. So don't even think of a referendum.
Thank you, Glenn. And that will conclude our public comment this evening. Move on to item 4, superintendent's reports. Mr. Du Bois.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Bob Evans has a couple things to mention to you tonight.
Thank you, Roger. I have a couple of things to meet Indiana code. One of them is that we are required to have 62% of our compensation go towards teacher compensation. I'm pleased to report that for us, that amount equaled 69%, so we're well above the 62% threshold. The other one is a funding floor where it states that you need to, the amount of money that you're applying towards teacher compensation must be at or greater than the previous year. So with us, it equates to about 110%, so we met both of those metrics. There is an out for both of those. If you have extenuating circumstances, such as declining enrollment, you can apply for that, but we didn't need to do that.
Thanks for the financial commitment update, Dr. Evans. Next up is our student achievement commitments, and Javier Jimenez has a couple things to tell the board.
Yeah, so standardized assessment season has begun. This is the midway point for our first window for iRead, and so most of our third graders are done. Most of our second graders will be finished by the end of this week. The window closes on Friday, so I think it's going without problems as far as technology, so looking forward to getting those results back.
And how quickly are those results returned?
The first, reporting opened on Monday, today, for anything that was done last week. However, they are embargoed as far as becoming public. I believe cleaning and all of that takes place before April 28th, and at that point, we'll just follow guidance from the state. But I think that we are encouraged to communicate with our families that did not pass in third grade because we have to start intervening as soon as possible. So we will be doing that as allowed and to make sure that we're providing interventions as needed. So, thank you.
Any more questions for Javi? Next up is our operational excellence commitments, and Dr. Metcalf, I think you have a couple things to kind of...
So as you know, we've been working on with our CTE, and John Everingham has kind of been overseeing some things. And one of the things we've been looking at is how do we make Chandler more efficient. In doing that, our goal would be to start moving classes that are the half-day classes over to Chandler instead of trying to transport kids over there for 45 minutes by the time they get over there, by the time they get ready to get back. It really cuts into the schedule. So one of the things we are looking at is moving the welding over to the Chandler cafeteria, and we are currently looking at what it will take to do that for next year.
And that's because we need the space as well.
It's because we do need the space. The welding is pretty crammed into the old, it's not the construction area, but the other part of that room. So yes.
I think we have 6 welding bays, and we need more.
Yeah, and we have access to them. We just need to get them set up and get them. It's become one of our most popular programs, and so we are going to move that over to the Chandler cafeteria.
And the advanced manufacturing will still do some welding in there as well, so
Yes.
we can use the welding there, but it's going to be a full-fledged training center over there in the cafeteria, so. Okay, and you would do your third one, I'll do mine after.
Oh, okay, yes. We are in transfer season, and so our transfer window for our district opened on March 1st and goes through May 31st. We are, however, looking at some of the class sizes and where we have space that we could absorb without having to add staff. And so we, at some point, might be coming back here in the next month or so with some recommendations of limiting transfers in some grade levels or some programs.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Metcalf. In addition, I wanted to mention to the board, I had Christina Pena came to me and Dr. Metcalf and asked how can they change the name of their school. Currently, it's the W, and that's all there is a W. So they want a mascot.
It's Waterford. You didn't say Waterford, did you? Did he say?
Okay,
No, I
so
don't
it
think
is
that is
Waterford,
school. Yes.
and it is a W, and they want a mascot of some kind. So they want the mascot to begin with the letter W, too. So they have some ideas, so I think we'll have the board, if it's okay. I don't know that's required. We can probably make a decision internally on that, but we'll just have the board vote on it when they come with a representation of what they'd like to do. So we'll bring that to you in the near future so they can get some things started with a mascot. I don't know if they want to, maybe a former Waterford student might be on the board, would want to wear the mascot outfit for the first.
From the board?
From the board. Oh, didn't you go to Waterford there? Okay, sorry.
I might have.
You might have? Okay. We'll be careful about what we pick. So that completes our operational excellence. Any other questions, board? Are we good on operations? Okay, last up are our people commitments, and we'll start with Dr. Metcalf again.
So as you know, last night, 2 nights last week, we had a teacher recruitment fair. And part of the recruitment was not only just trying to find teachers to hire for next year in positions where we believe we're going to have them, but also just to start laying some groundwork with future teachers. So for example, we had some Goshen College students come in who were juniors, learning more about our district, learning more about our pay, our benefits, what we can offer. Tuesday night, we had our elementary, and Thursday night, we had the secondary, junior high, and high school. We had a nice turnout for our first one, for our first ever recruitment fair here, both nights. And so we've gotten the names of a number of people, and our goal is to hire about 60% of the ones that showed up.
Thanks, Dr. Metcalf. Also, we've been doing some good work with parent engagement. And Lori Schreiner, would you give the board an update?
Yeah, so our Red Hawks Rising Parent Community Group met Tuesday night. Typically, we meet here, but because of the recruitment fair, we met off campus. And I thought, what a great idea, or an opportunity to take them to Chandler Innovation Academy. And so we held our meeting there, and Ms. DeMeyer was my special guest, and she gave the parents a tour to see all of our CT options and what's happening there. And then she did a wonderful job of breaking down the very complex new Indiana diploma, high school diploma, and then really talked about all of the opportunities that are available to our young people who graduate from Goshen High School. And she just did a really nice job of making that very friendly and understandable to our parents. Our next meeting is April 29th.
Thank you, Lori. That concludes our reports from the superintendent, unless there's any questions that the board would have.
I just have a general question. So our Gallup polls that we had done, what have we done with, I guess, groups back at each school from the results from that? I know we've taken it now the second, have we taken it the second time, or we've taken it the second time? So I guess what is our, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, so I apologize, but, you know, I've had some people ask me here recent if we're using those.
Do you want?
So May and December is when we've kind of, well, or the end of November, after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, in that range, and then before the staff leads for the end of the year is our second one. And we intend to do that every year. They all have a plan at each school, and they are carrying that out. And I don't know, I'm going to put Javi on the spot and Lori on the spot here to kind of just generalize kind of what plans might look like at the different schools, or not each school, don't go into each school, but maybe just overall, what the kinds of things that they're doing in the buildings.
Yeah, so at the elementary levels, I want to say all 6 buildings, the number one area for work in teams was around staff recognition. And so principals and their leadership teams are working on plans, not just for everybody to feel like a sense of recognition, like what they do is important, but how does that translate into a more, peer-to-peer recognition also, where it's not always the leader of the building who is recognizing, but where staff take time to recognize each other's work. And there's wonderful examples of what that looks like day to day from different buildings, but that is essentially what it is that, that collaborative culture where, our work is so important, right? And so making sure that everybody feels like they're key to the success of our schools and our kids, so.
Yeah, and I would just build on that by saying that, again, recognition was a theme in a lot of the buildings, but going from like a more surface level understanding of what it means to recognize and going deeper in that, and what does that look like on a day-to-day kind of interactions with colleagues. And so just asking, leaders to they're not, like Javi said, not just responsible for the data, but getting the staff to really get into the data and to be generating ideas and doing it collaboratively is a really important piece. And so we just continue to have that be a cycle of feedback where principals are looking at their data and having peers or colleagues look at the data and then create a plan together is the idea. And so we continue to support principals in that. A bright spot in the data is participation went up, particularly for our classified leaders, where that's a little bit harder to get that engagement from maybe bus drivers or cafeteria workers. And we've just had some directors that did an excellent job of really trying to make that meaningful to their workers.
And those conversations end up being where the power takes place. When you realize that you answer something on a question and their Q12 question that says, do you feel like you've been recognized, or recognition in your building is good, or however the question's phrased. But the point is that everybody has to understand that we're all responsible for recognizing everybody. We can't wait. There's, like at the high school, 100 staff people in that building. You can't expect the principal to do all the recognition for everybody at all times. Because I think the question also mentions within the last 7 days, have you gotten feedback on your performance? And like, that's a hard thing to do too, if people are not communicating with each other and supporting each other and giving feedback to each other. So those are the kind of things I think are happening. It's really powerful with that. And it's good data. There's no right or wrong. It just is. And how can we get better? So thank you.
Anything else on superintendent reports? Okay, we will then move on to item 5, which is board committee reports. So I'll look to the board members. Anything to highlight this evening?
Yeah,
building trades meets next Thursday. Or something.
Week from Thursday or this Thursday? Week from Thursday, okay.
Well, high schoolers had SAT testing last week on Wednesday, and I believe that went well because we were all very well informed to stay home and do our e-learning, except for juniors. And also, Youth Caucus is hosting a book drive, so GHS students can bring in books, and then we'll sort through them and give them to younger students. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other things from the board? I will say redevelopment meets tomorrow, and I'd say the two main things to highlight on that are two new developments. The one is right down here by the old Western Rubber property, so the aerial cycle works project is officially kicking off, so just some final paperwork with that, and it will be moving forward. And then there's another development to the south of the Hawks building on the race that they're planning to build some townhomes for. So we'll have that agreement tomorrow in front of the redevelopment commission. So small slivers of housing continue to come to Goshen. Anything else currently?
We as a council met on the 25th, but I haven't had minutes yet. I want to get those on. And then this will be the second weekend of bringing things associated with Sunday.
Okay. All right. We will then move on to item 6, which are our consent agenda items. 6.1, approval of accounts payable dated March 10th, 2025, and payroll dated February 21st, 2025. 6.2, obsolete library and media materials. 6.3, early literacy achievement grant. 6.4, personnel. Anything to highlight from the consent agenda? Okay. Hearing none, the consent agenda items are approved as presented. Item 7, action items. 7.1, proposal for professional development services. Ms. Schreiner.
Yes, so you should have access or should have been able to peruse a contract that has not yet been finalized. But if you remember, if you remember several board meetings ago, you were able to look through this Patricia, her more comprehensive proposals. I think there were 3 different ones, the third being the most comprehensive. And basically, this service would support the need that we've identified for improved communication to better engage parents. And we decided to go with the least comprehensive proposal initially with her, and just have that professional development done with our principals. And so that at that time, we can determine with them the effectiveness of that professional development and how we might then use that professional development in a more comprehensive way with office staff, with our team leaders who are facilitating conversations about students and should be contacting parents and school counselors. And so with your approval, we'd like to move forward with this contract, but I'm happy to take any questions you might have about it.
So with that, I will ask for a motion and a second to begin discussion on item 7.1.
For the passage of item 7.1, proposal for professional development services.
Moved by Mr. Glick, second by Mr. Goodman. Questions, I guess, topics on the proposal in front of us. It is for $9,800. Half-day presentation, closing the loop books, and then up to 1 hour of virtual coaching, correct?
Have we had Patricia come in?
I've met with her, but no, she is an outside consultant, and she has not worked with our staff before in any capacity.
I was trying to remember, was the price based per person, or was that just an overall?
It's just an overall. Well, I think maybe she said maximum like 25 to 30 books, but she's very flexible. So
Okay.
she's not going to give us probably a set number of how many people can be in the room. So it's more by hour.
Okay.
So yeah, for the 2 3-hour sessions.
So if you wanted to add a few other people in there, you potentially could, and it would reduce the overall. per
Correct.
person.
She'd be fine with that.
Other questions? Comments? Okay. Are we ready to vote? Hearing some nods. All right. So we have a motion and a second on the floor for item 7.1. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Passes 7-0. Thank you. Item 7.2, approval for change of date for the September 20th, 2025 regular school board meeting. Mr. DuBois.
Yes, thank you, Board. Terry McCrindle, our very astute and keeping track of things, she found out that the ISBA, IAPSS joint conference is on the same time that our board meeting is. We had our board meeting set before they set their day, so I just will say that. So, but we do need to change our board meeting to the week later, right, Terry?
We're wanting to go from September 29th to September 22nd.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
the conference actually was moved up a week than normal.
Thank you.
And that will help assist us in our budget process.
So we would like the board to change the originally printed schedule for that board meeting to the new date.
So it's on the 29th today.
Today it's on the 29th. We would like to change it to the 22nd, yes, sir.
Yep.
I'm just making sure.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have a motion and a second for item 7.2?
I'll move for the passage of item 7.2 for the approval for the change of the date from September 29th to September 22nd.
Moved by Mr. Glick, second by Mr. Goodman. Questions, clarifications on that? Pretty straightforward.
If we were first, why don't they have to move theirs? I'm just kidding.
We'll let you go lobby them.
Tried to use that with the city. They didn't listen either, so. All right, I think pretty straightforward. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Opposed, same signal. Passes 7-0. Thank you. And item 7.3, soccer dugouts and press box. Dr. Evans.
We would like to recommend Millwood Construction for the completion of 2 soccer dugouts, a press box with storage underneath it for the soccer field. Construction would be, the goal is to complete it by August, before the soccer season. And we've been working with several contractors over the last several months and waiting on a couple. And we're going to bring it forth with you now, with the lowest bid being Millwood. All of the specifics are attached, and this would be contingent upon getting building permits from the state, but we'd like to move forward.
Okay. Thank you. May I have a motion and a second for item 7.3?
I'll move for the passage of item 7.3, soccer dugouts and press box.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glick, second by Mr. Garber. Comments, questions?
I'm a little curious what's the price difference, because that's pretty dramatic between those two.
Yeah, they're
That's what we thought, too.
That's, it's considerable. I was shocked to see the amount of the Wygan bid. To be honest with you, I think the Millwood bid was more reasonable and more what I expected it to be. We did have another vendor that we were waiting on, which is why it was the delay for you guys getting this quote. Waiting and waiting, trying to give them more time, and then the last call said, well, we're going to wait till we get actual building permits before we give you the quote, so we decided to go ahead and bring it to you without that third bid.
Can't wait much longer to get it done.
Did we have estimates beforehand as to what it was expected? I know some of these projects, you get an estimate from the architects.
We did. We had estimates from Garmin Miller, and we had an estimate from another company, I forget who it is right now, but it was in line of a little bit more than what the Millwood bid is. So we were getting estimates of 300 or maybe just a little shy or a little over. So this one is lower than those bids.
I guess my last question would be, does there, a contract with them, does it protect us from them raising the price after the fact?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And just as a side note, Millwood is currently working at our baseball softball complex. They're putting the roofs on the buildings and the dugouts out there.
Did Barton Co. do the design on this, or did we work with?
Barton Co. did do some preliminary sketches on this, yes. We could actually use the same design for the press box as we're using at the baseball, softball complex. And then the dugouts, they're just, well, they're dugouts, they're just sitting on the ground, so.
So I guess, so Millwood, our experience with them is just from what they've done here, working for Wygand at, I guess I was unfamiliar with this contractor, so I just want to make sure we have a comfort level that they'll be able to perform to our standards.
We have no reason to believe that they won't. The work that they've done so far has been satisfactory.
Okay. Other questions? Any other comments? So, I mean, we can say this has been needed for some time. So if you've attended a soccer game, driven past one, it's quite full. There's a lot of people.
I'm glad you brought that up. We are probably, our next board meeting, will be bringing bids for additional bleachers to be able to put on both ends of those. So that will help out that as well.
Yeah. Some people line the streets trying to watch the game, so.
Yeah, we definitely need more bleachers.
Okay. Anything else? Ready to vote? All right, there's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Passes 7-0. Thank you. All right. That takes us through our action items, and we will now move to our favorite item 8, closing items tonight. So 8.1, any miscellaneous administrative items, Mr. Boyd?
Check me on this, Terry, but our next meeting will be Monday, March 24th at 6 p.m. with an executive session immediately following that with, we're going to have some board education on property taxes, assessed valuation, levies, and tax rates, et cetera. With Stifel will be coming and doing that. Did I say it right, Bob, or is it Stifel? Yeah, sorry.
It's spelled stifle, but it's pronounced
Stifel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And 8.2, any miscellaneous items from the board tonight? Seeing none, I will take a motion for adjournment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.